Remembrance Day, or Armistice Day, is observed on the 11th of November every year by nations comprising the so-called Commonwealth, and in fact many other non-Commonwealth nations also, to commemorate the collective war dead. Servicemen and women who have died in the line of duty during and ever since World War I. It is a unified acknowledgement of sacrifice and often grief, particularly for those directly connected to the armed forces, and it sees the temporary shutdown of government offices, schools, hospitals, and many workplaces. World War I is said to have ended on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, and it is tradition in Great Britain and many other places to observe a 2-minute silence at this time. According to the Royal British Legion website, it is a day for the nation to remember and honour those who have sacrificed themselves to secure and protect our freedom. Freedom. That's right. Wars are not fought for freedom, ever. They are fought out of sheer collective insanity and unconsciousness. To say anything to the contrary is to attempt to justify and to make war an inevitability. Major General Smedley Butler held the highest rank in the US Marine Corps and fought in numerous wars including World War I. After that war he became an outspoken critic of nations' attitudes to war, giving us quotes such as, "War is a racket. It is the only one international in scope. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives." And at least 21,000 new millionaires and billionaires were made in the United States during World War I. And those are just the ones who admitted so on their tax returns. Also, in a macabre and rather more accurate echoing of a famous Winston Churchill quote, "War is conducted for the benefit of the very few at the expense of the very many." The very idea of the Prime Minister of the disunited kingdom laying a symbolic remembrance wreath at the Cenotaph, a prominent war memorial in London, is an insult not only to the men and women who die in these needless conflicts, but to all peace-loving people. The Prime Minister is the first representative of the political class, and it is that political class who debate and vote on going to war, for example the Iraq debacle, which began in 2003. The fact of the matter is you cannot claim to seek peace and the resolution of conflict while sending armies of any scale or magnitude out into the world. This is a double standard made by all empire builders ever, just as they were deploying armies with the subtext of providing a civilizing influence. Britain, America and others have been playing this same card in the bloodstained lands of the Middle East for several generations now. In 2017, the Royal British Navy launched 2 brand new aircraft carriers at a combined cost of just over £6 billion. They are the largest warships ever built by the British Navy and are effectively floating Air Force bases. This is to say nothing of the dozens of warplanes on board, the tanks and other ground forces stationed in bases across the world, the nuclear submarines lurking in the seas with enough firepower on board to level entire cities. Let's be clear, you do not construct and release such malevolent things into the world unless you intend to use them. What our so-called leaders glibly term defence or deterrence might more accurately be termed manifesting World War III. What is the significance of 11-11-11? It's just easy to remember, right? Not quite. The powers that should not be in this country and others do not operate solely by the principles and values they profess to uphold on the surface. A cursory investigation of private clubs and secret societies and the historical membership of such clubs reveals what can politely be called conflicts of interest that go deep within and rise to the very highest levels of government and society at large. The higher up we get, the more prevalent we find secretive organisations such as Freemasonry. This is not just a big club, it is the largest and most prominent mystery school currently in existence. There is a reason esoterics are not taught in ordinary schools. Numbers, just as words, are signposts pointing to deeper meanings. Each number has a specific frequency or vibration. Freemasonry and other mystery schools teach esoteric truths such as these to their members, although any curious soul can find this information freely available online. Everything must be hidden in plain sight for it to retain its power. In numerology, the number 11 is considered to be what's known as a master number. It is the frequency of 1, which primarily signifies inspiration and new beginnings, magnified and concentrated. With all these 11s taken together, this moment in time can be seen as a powerful portal for manifestation, and some of us choose to manifest more destruction and sorrow. I use the word choose because it is always a choice. Some of the elites know the significance of this 1111 portal and use it in conjunction with the collective's capacity for manifestation to ensure another yearly cycle of business as usual. A nation's collective karmic debt cannot ever be paid off with grief and regret. Having this many human minds focused on one thing, even for a couple of minutes, helps bring into manifestation that very thing. Remembrance Day, and the 2-minute silence in particular, is one of the biggest and most keenly observed occult rituals on Earth, if not the biggest. Millions upon millions of people silenced and focused on pain, senseless sacrifice and loss for 120 seconds. My question is, what if a significant portion of these minds were awakened to the truth, able to see how they were being manipulated, and actually responded at this moment with thoughts of love and peace and an end not only to war, but to the conditions which necessitate it? An end to the tyranny which masquerades as a benign structure rooted in tradition and national identity and simply administering a public service. An end to the idea that it is necessary to have a collective public enemy in order to affect social cohesion, or at the very least to affect people's acquiescence to the absurd acts of violence being perpetrated, ostensibly on their behalf. An end to the creation of legislation removing our rights, freedoms and privacy in the name of fighting what they call terror. Of course, many of us who observe this arbitrary point in time each year are already doing just that. It is not my place nor my intent to tell you what or how to think, just to urge you to question what we have been given as an explanation for the way things are. The biggest war of all is for your consciousness, your focus, and everything we focus on, we manifest.